Hollywood's golden age is often remembered as a world of glamour, fame, and unforgettable stars. Audiences saw elegance on the screen, celebrated legendary performances, and believed they knew the people behind them. But away from the cameras, a different story was unfolding. Behind the success were controversies, hidden conflicts, powerful connections, and decisions that damaged reputations and changed careers forever. Some stars faced public scandals, others became surrounded by rumors that refused to disappear. In today's countdown, we're exploring 11 Golden Age Hollywood icons whose legacies were shaped not only by their talent, but also by the controversies that followed them. Let's begin. Actor 1. Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin is remembered as one of the greatest stars in film history. With his iconic mustache, bowler hat, and unforgettable screen presence, he turned silent movies into a global phenomenon. Millions admired his creativity, and his character, the Tramp, became one of the most recognizable figures ever seen on screen. But behind the laughter and success, Chaplin's life was surrounded by controversies that often made as many headlines as his films. As his fame grew, so did public attention on his personal life. Several of his relationships became the subject of intense media coverage, particularly because of the significant age differences involved. These stories sparked debate across America and damaged his public image. Chaplin also faced legal disputes that kept his name in newspapers for years, turning private matters into national conversations. At the same time, his outspoken opinions and independent attitude attracted the attention of powerful political figures. During a period when fear and suspicion were spreading across the United States, some critics questioned his beliefs and motives. Government agencies monitored his activities, and controversy continued to follow him wherever he went. By the early 1950s, the pressure surrounding Chaplin had become impossible to ignore. Rather than continue battling constant criticism and political scrutiny, he chose to settle outside the United States. Although his career remained influential, the move marked the end of an important chapter in his Hollywood journey. Today, Charlie Chaplin is celebrated as a cinematic genius whose work changed entertainment forever. Yet his story also serves as a reminder that even the most beloved stars can find themselves at the center of public controversy. Behind one of Hollywood's brightest legends was a life far more complicated than many people realized. Actor 2. Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra was much more than a singer. With his smooth voice, effortless charisma, and successful film career, he became one of the most influential entertainers of the 20th century. Whether performing on stage or appearing in Hollywood classics, Sinatra projected confidence, sophistication, and star power. To millions of fans, he represented the very definition of celebrity success. But behind the glamour, Sinatra's name was frequently linked to controversy. Throughout his career, rumors circulated about his connections with powerful figures from various circles, including individuals associated with organized crime. These reports attracted public attention and led to years of speculation about the relationships he maintained behind the scenes. The fascination only grew as Sinatra's influence expanded beyond entertainment. He developed friendships with prominent business leaders, political figures, and other high-profile personalities. Because of these connections, critics often questioned whether his influence opened doors that were unavailable to ordinary people. Supporters, however, argued that Sinatra was simply one of the most famous men in America and naturally moved within powerful social circles. Government agencies also took interest in some of the rumors surrounding him. Over the years, investigators collected information about Sinatra's associations, though no evidence ever resulted in criminal convictions against him. Even so, the stories continued to follow him, becoming part of the legend that surrounded his career. Despite the controversy, Sinatra's success remained extraordinary. He won major awards, sold millions of records, and built a legacy that influenced generations of performers. Today, he is remembered as one of entertainment's greatest icons. Yet his story also highlights how immense fame can blur the line between public image, private relationships, and endless speculation. Actor 3. Clark Gable. During Hollywood's golden age, few stars commanded as much admiration as Clark Gable. Known as the King of Hollywood, He became famous for his confident personality, distinctive charm, and unforgettable performances in classic films. Audiences admired his rugged style, while studios viewed him as one of their most valuable stars. At the height of his career, Gable seemed untouchable, yet with enormous fame came constant attention. Throughout the years, stories circulated about his private life, his relationships, and the special treatment that major stars often received behind the scenes. Like many celebrities of the era, Gable lived in a world where studios worked hard to protect their biggest names from damaging publicity. Hollywood in the 1930s and 1940s operated very differently from today. Powerful studios carefully managed public images, controlled media access, and often kept personal controversies out of the headlines. Because Gable was one of the industry's most important stars, rumors frequently emerged suggesting that certain incidents involving celebrities were quietly handled before they could become major scandals. While many of these stories were never fully verified, they contributed to a public perception that Hollywood's elite operated under a different set of rules. Critics argued that wealth, influence, and studio power sometimes shielded major stars from consequences that ordinary people might have faced. Supporters, however, believed many of the rumors were exaggerated simply because Gable was one of the most recognizable figures in the world. Despite decades of speculation, Clark Gable's reputation as a screen legend endured. His performances continued to define an era of filmmaking, and his influence on Hollywood remained undeniable. Actor for Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford's journey to stardom is one of Hollywood's most remarkable success stories. Rising from a difficult childhood, she transformed herself into one of the most celebrated actresses of the Golden Age. With memorable performances, elegance, and relentless determination, Crawford became a symbol of ambition and success. To the public, she appeared confident, glamorous, and completely in control of her world. But behind the polished image, stories about her personal life created a very different narrative. Throughout her career, Crawford earned a reputation for being intensely demanding, both on film sets and in her private affairs. Colleagues often described her as fiercely competitive, willing to do whatever was necessary to protect her status in Hollywood. Years after her death, controversy surrounding her legacy grew dramatically following the publication of a memoir written by her adopted daughter. The book described a household marked by strict discipline, emotional conflicts, and difficult family relationships. The claims shocked the public and transformed how many people viewed the legendary actress. Supporters of Crawford questioned parts of the story, arguing that some accounts may have been exaggerated. Others believed the memoir revealed a side of the actress that had remained hidden from the public for decades. The debate continues even today, with opinions sharply divided over who Joan Crawford truly was behind closed doors. Adding to the mystery were long-standing rumors about Hollywood's efforts to carefully manage the public images of its biggest stars. Like many celebrities of her era, Crawford lived under constant pressure to maintain a flawless reputation despite growing scrutiny from the media. Actor 5 Errol Flynn. Few Hollywood stars embodied adventure quite like Errol Flynn. With his confident smile, natural charisma, and unforgettable performances in films such as Captain Blood and The Adventures of Robin Hood, Flynn became one of the biggest stars of his generation. Audiences loved watching him play daring heroes who always seemed fearless in the face of danger. On screen, he represented excitement, charm, and larger-than-life confidence. Away from the cameras, however, Flynn developed a reputation that was almost as famous as his film career. He became known for his extravagant lifestyle, frequent parties, and constant presence in newspaper gossip columns. His personal life attracted enormous media attention, turning him into one of Hollywood's most talked-about celebrities. As his fame grew, so did public scrutiny. Several controversies placed Flynn at the center of headlines and sparked intense debate about celebrity behavior and accountability. Although he successfully defended himself against serious allegations in court, the publicity surrounding those events followed him for the rest of his life. For many people, the controversies became inseparable from his public image. At the same time, Flynn embraced a lifestyle filled with luxury, travel, and social gatherings. Supporters saw him as a free-spirited star living life on his own terms. Critics argued that his fame allowed him to avoid the level of scrutiny faced by ordinary people. These differing views helped create the complex reputation that still surrounds him today. Despite the controversies, Flynn's popularity remained enormous. His swashbuckling performances influenced generations of actors and helped define the adventure genre in Hollywood. Even decades later, many of his films remain beloved by audiences around the world. Actor 6 Roscoe, Fatty, Arbuckle. At the dawn of Hollywood, few entertainers were bigger stars than Roscoe, Fatty, Arbuckle. Known for his remarkable comedic timing and energetic performances, Arbuckle became one of the most successful actors of the silent film era. Audiences loved his ability to make people laugh, and studios rewarded him with some of the highest salaries in the entertainment industry. His future appeared brighter than ever. Then, in 1921, everything changed. A private gathering at a San Francisco hotel quickly became one of the most publicized scandals in early Hollywood history. Following the event, a young actress became seriously ill and later passed away. As news spread across the country, newspapers published dramatic headlines that turned the story into a national sensation almost overnight. The controversy placed Arbuckle at the center of intense public scrutiny. Legal proceedings followed, and the case became one of the most closely watched celebrity scandals of its time. For months, newspapers covered every detail, while public opinion became deeply divided. Some people believed the accusations proved that Hollywood's growing culture of excess had gone too far. Others argued that Arbuckle was being judged by rumors rather than facts. After a lengthy legal battle, Arbuckle was ultimately cleared in court. However, the damage to his reputation had already been done. Public trust had faded, and many theaters became reluctant to show his films. The scandal overshadowed his achievements and dramatically altered the course of his career. What makes Arbuckle's story so significant is not only the controversy itself, but also what it revealed about the power of media and public perception. A star who once stood at the top of Hollywood suddenly found himself fighting to restore his image. Today, Roscoe Arbuckle remains one of the most debated figures in early film history, a reminder that fame can disappear just as quickly as it arrives. Actor 7 George Raft. George Raft built his Hollywood career by playing some of the most convincing gangsters ever seen on screen. With his sharp suits, confident attitude, and calm but intimidating presence, he became a natural fit for crime dramas during Hollywood's golden age. Films like Scarface helped establish him as one of the industry's most recognizable tough guy actors. To audiences, Raft looked like he had stepped directly out of the underworld. What made his story particularly fascinating was how closely his public image mirrored the rumors surrounding his real life. Before becoming a movie star, Raft grew up in a tough New York neighborhood where organized crime figures were a visible part of everyday life. As his fame increased, stories began circulating about his friendships and connections with well-known underworld personalities. These rumors followed him throughout his career and often blurred the line between the characters he played and the man he really was. Although Raft was never convicted of major crimes, his name frequently appeared in discussions about Hollywood's relationship with powerful criminal networks during the early 20th century. Critics questioned whether some stars benefited from relationships with influential figures operating outside the law. Supporters, however, argued that Raft was simply a product of his upbringing and maintained friendships from his earlier years without participating in criminal activities. The mystery surrounding those connections only added to his reputation. Journalists, fans, and historians continued debating how much truth existed behind the stories. For many people, the uncertainty became part of George Raft's lasting appeal. Despite the controversy, Raft remained a respected Hollywood figure whose performances helped define the gangster genre. His career demonstrated how public perception can sometimes become as powerful as reality itself. Actor 8 Robert Mitchum. Robert Mitchum was one of Hollywood's most distinctive stars. Known for his deep voice, calm demeanor, and effortless screen presence, he became a defining figure of film noir. In classics such as Out of the Past and The Night of the Hunter, Mitchum often played mysterious characters who seemed to live by their own rules. Audiences admired his rugged confidence and rebellious charm, making him one of the most recognizable actors of his era. Unlike many Hollywood stars, Mitchum never seemed interested in maintaining a perfectly polished image. He often appeared relaxed, independent, and unconcerned with the expectations placed on celebrities. While some fans appreciated his authenticity, others believed his attitude frequently placed him at odds with Hollywood's traditional standards. That reputation became national news in 1948 when Mitchum was arrested during a high-profile drug investigation. At a time when movie stars were expected to represent strong moral values, the incident shocked both the public and the entertainment industry. Newspapers covered the story extensively, and many believed the controversy could permanently damage his career. For a period, Mitchum's future in Hollywood appeared uncertain. Critics argued that the scandal reflected a growing culture of excess among celebrities, while supporters viewed him as a talented actor who had made personal mistakes. Despite the intense media attention, Mitchum eventually returned to the screen and rebuilt his career. His successful comeback only added to the fascination surrounding his life. Some observers believed Hollywood's powerful studios helped protect valuable stars from lasting consequences, while others pointed to Mitchum's undeniable talent as the reason audiences welcomed him back. Actor 9 Edward G. Robinson Edward G. Robinson became one of Hollywood's most recognizable stars by portraying powerful and intimidating characters on screen. His performances in crime dramas, particularly Little Caesar, helped define the gangster genre and made him a household name. With his commanding voice and intense presence, Robinson convinced audiences that he was one of cinema's toughest figures. Yet away from the cameras, the real man was very different from the characters he portrayed. Known for his intelligence, love of art, and appreciation for culture, Robinson built a reputation as one of Hollywood's most thoughtful personalities. However, during the late 1940s and early 1950s, America entered a period of political tension and suspicion that affected countless careers throughout the entertainment industry. As concerns about communist influence spread across the country, government investigations began focusing on actors, writers, directors, and producers. Robinson found himself caught in the middle of this growing controversy. Although he was never convicted of any crime, questions about his political associations and past activities attracted public attention and placed his reputation under scrutiny. For years, the uncertainty surrounding these accusations created challenges for his career. Some critics believed certain entertainers were being unfairly targeted based on rumors rather than evidence. Others argued that investigations were necessary to protect national interests. Robinson's situation reflected the larger conflict taking place across Hollywood during that era. What made the controversy especially significant was how quickly public perception could change. A respected actor who had spent years building a successful career suddenly found himself defending his reputation against suspicion and speculation. Actor 10 Gary Cooper. For decades, Gary Cooper represented the ideal Hollywood hero. With his calm personality, honest image, and memorable performances in films such as High Noon and Sergeant York, he became one of the most admired actors of his generation. Audiences trusted him, studios valued him, and critics praised his ability to portray strong, principled characters. Few stars embodied integrity as convincingly as Gary Cooper. But even Cooper found himself caught in one of the most controversial chapters in Hollywood history. During the late 1940s and early 1950s, fears surrounding political influence and national security spread throughout the United States. The entertainment industry became a major focus of government investigations, with actors, writers, and directors facing questions about their beliefs and associations. As tensions grew, many careers were affected by suspicion and public scrutiny. Gary Cooper became involved in this period when he appeared before congressional investigators examining potential political influence within Hollywood. Unlike some public figures of the era, Cooper did not aggressively accuse large numbers of colleagues. However, his participation in the process sparked debate that continues among historians today. Supporters argued that Cooper was acting responsibly and cooperating with authorities during a difficult period in American history. Critics, on the other hand, believed that even limited cooperation helped strengthen an atmosphere of fear that damaged careers and divided the film industry. The controversy demonstrated how quickly respected public figures could become part of larger political conflicts. Cooper's reputation remained largely intact, but his involvement ensured that his name would remain connected to debates about Hollywood, government influence, and freedom of expression. Actor 11 Robert Taylor. During Hollywood's golden age, few actors possessed the elegance and screen presence of Robert Taylor. Known for his striking appearance, calm confidence, and performances in films such as Camille and Waterloo Bridge, Taylor became one of MGM's most reliable leading men. Audiences admired his polished image and quiet strength, making him one of the era's most respected stars. Yet beyond the glamour of Hollywood, Taylor found himself connected to one of the most divisive periods in American entertainment history. In the late 1940s, concerns about political influence in the film industry led to a series of highly publicized government investigations. Actors, writers, directors, and producers were questioned about their beliefs and associations. Hollywood became a battleground of suspicion, fear, and uncertainty as careers were suddenly placed under intense scrutiny. Robert Taylor became involved when he testified before the House Un-American Activities Committee, often referred to as WAC. During his testimony, Taylor expressed concerns about political influences he believed existed within certain parts of the film industry. His appearance quickly attracted public attention and placed him at the center of a growing national debate. Supporters argued that Taylor was simply sharing his honest opinions and cooperating with a government investigation. Critics, however, believed that public testimony from influential stars helped create an environment where accusations could damage careers, even when no wrongdoing was proven. The issue divided Hollywood and left lasting scars throughout the industry. As years passed, the controversy remained an important part of Taylor's public legacy. While his career continued successfully, discussions about his role during that period never completely disappeared.